You know, these three different brain systems, sex drive, romantic love, and feelings of attachment, aren't always connected. You can lie in bed and feel deep attachment towards one person and then swing into feelings of wild romantic love for somebody else, and then swing into feelings of the sex drive for somebody you barely even know. So we all want to feel all three brain systems for the same person. Through the demographic yearbooks of the United Nations from 1947 to 2011. And as it turns out, if you're going to divorce, you tend to divorce during and around the 4th year of marriage. And I began to wonder why. And so we evolved this drive to fall in love and form a pair bond at least long enough to raise a single child through infancy, about 4 years. After a child was age 4 or 5, it could join a multi-age playgroup. So we have natural weak points in our partnerships.
헬렌 피셔의 연구는 일부일처제에 대한 의문을 갖게 합니다. 최근 뇌과학이 밝힌 한 물질과 함께 말이죠.
우리 뇌에는 바소프레신이라는 호르몬이 있습니다. 일부일처 호르몬이라고 불리는데요. 파트너와의 유대를 강하게 만들어주는 호르몬입니다. 그런데 쌍둥이를 대상으로 한 스웨덴과 핀란드의 대규모 유전자 프로젝트 결과를 보면 이 바소프레신을 받아들이는 수용체의 양이 사람들마다 유전적으로 다른데요. 바소프레신 수용체 양이 적은 사람이 파트너에 충실하지 못했다고 합니다. 이렇게 유전자 연구마다 수치의 차이는 있지만 최소한 4명 중 1명은 유전적으로 일부일처제에 적합하지 않다는 해석이 가능합니다.
What we're seeing now, though, is many people, particularly in America and Europe, but around the world, questioning the sexual exclusivity. Some marriages work, some don't. So a lot of young people looking at that and saying, hey, why don't we experiment a little bit more, given human nature, as people are realizing, hey, I can have a pair bond, a committed, important relationship where we're in love with each other, but it doesn't need to be sexually exclusive, with awareness that jealousy is real. I think what we're seeing now with the rise of polyamory and open relationship.
Many bird species, or in fact most bird species, are monogamous. It turns out that that's not the case. Very few are. The reality is that monogamy, one male, one female, as a means of reproducing, is actually quite unusual in the living world. It's even more rare among mammals. And in fact, and this is something that many people find rather shocking, it's rather rare in human beings too. That is, on the one hand, we are naturally interested in multiple sexual partners. Both men and women have that interest, okay? And the interest is based on the fact that both men and women can enhance what we call their fitness, their evolutionary success, by having multiple partners. If you were a Martian zoologist who came to Earth and looked at the human species, you would say, there's no question that human beings are not naturally monogamous.
오늘날 사람들은 일부일처제를 당연하게 받아들입니다. 그러나 대다수가 일부일처제를 따른 건 대략 10,000년 전으로 봅니다. 인류가 정착해 농경 생활을 하며 가축, 집 등을 소유하게 됐고 그 재산을 자식들에게 물려줬죠. 그러니 누구의 자식인지가 정확해야 했고 남편과 아내로 분명하게 구별되는 일부일처제를 선호하게 됐습니다. 인류의 역사를 대략 20만 년이라 볼 때 10,000년 전 농경 문화가 가져온 변화는 비교적 최근에 나타난 현상이라 볼 수 있습니다. 그렇다면 그 이전 인간의 조상들은 어떻게 짝을 짓고 살았을까요? 오래전 인간의 행동을 알기 위해 영장류 연구소의 도움을 받으려 합니다. 지구상의 유인원은 대표적으로 긴팔 원숭이, 오랑우탕, 고릴라, 보노보, 침팬지가 있습니다. 사람도 여기에 속하죠.
Especially bonobos and chimpanzees are particularly close to human beings. The genetic similarity is over 98%, and you sometimes wonder what this little difference can actually create, which is surprising. And bonobos and chimpanzees now serve as one of the important referential models for human evolution.
Can you interpret their sound?
I believe I can. I'm not sure how good I am, but I think by experience, yeah, you get a feeling of what the calls mean. This call, for example, I guess this guy is a little bit afraid of being outside here.
보노보는 인간 행동의 기원을 찾는 데 중요한 모델입니다.
Bonobos are renowned for their sexual behavior. Everybody reads about it and everybody talks about it.
보노보는 90분에 한 번씩 마치 인사하듯 성을 가리지 않고 섹스를 합니다. 자위도 구강성교도 하죠. 얼굴을 마주보고 섹스하는 인간 외의 유일한 종입니다.
The big question here is the sex?
Their penis and the testicles can be seen in size.
Testicle size is a pretty good predictor of the mating or the reproductive system of a species. Large testicles are indicative of large ejaculates. It is an indicator for the promiscuous mating system and for sperm competition. In bonobos, where promiscuous mating is the common. So females may mate with multiple males in a short interval, and then it's actually the sperm that competes.
이렇게 정자 경쟁이란 한 개의 난자와 수정하려는 여러 수컷의 정자가 경쟁하는 걸 말합니다.
Male gorillas have very small testicles.
암컷을 차지하기 위한 수컷의 무기는 종마다 다릅니다. 고릴라처럼 직접 몸으로 싸워 경쟁을 할 땐 큰 고환보단 큰 몸집이 유리합니다. 그래서 고환은 덩치에 비해 작습니다. 암컷과 수컷의 몸집 차이를 보면 섹스 전략을 대략 가늠할 수 있습니다. 고릴라처럼 암컷과 수컷의 차이가 큰 경우 일부 다처입니다. 그러나 보노보처럼 암컷과 수컷의 몸집이 크게 차이나지 않을 땐 서로 다수의 섹스 파트너가 있습니다. 수컷과 암컷의 크기가 같은 긴팔 원숭이 경우엔 일부일처 짝짓기를 합니다. 그럼 인간은 어떨까요? 인간의 남녀 신체 차이는 보노보와 긴팔 원숭이 사이입니다. 일부일처나 혹은 남녀 둘 다 다수의 짝을 둔 복잡한 짝짓기를 했다는 해석이 모두 가능합니다.
They are modestly a sperm competition species. Monogamy is a form, a common form, but it's not so, so prominent. And in the biological sense, this is not really monogamy anymore.
인간에게만 보이는 특이한 점이 또 있습니다.
Sexuality of women is much more mysterious in a number of ways. One of them is the phenomenon of what we call concealed ovulation. If you go to a zoo, for instance, and look at chimpanzees, a number of the females will periodically look really very strange. They'll have an enormous reddish, pink, sometimes orange growth on their behinds. That can be really quite large, as big as a melon. This is natural. This is the way the females often signal ovulation. Well, human beings don't do anything like that, okay? We take that for granted, of course. Now, one has to ask, why is something so important kept so secret? There are a number of interesting hypotheses, though. But if, in fact, their ovulation is concealed and secret and hidden, their, quote, their male couldn't always be guarding her. And so they would have then the opportunity to sneak away with another male if they chose to. One of those mysteries, in addition to concealed ovulation, is female orgasm. Male ejaculation does involve more than just neurological things going on in the brain. There is actually material. Semen is transferred from inside the male body to out, whereas by contrast, insofar as a woman is experiencing it within her brain, there's nothing being used up. Women who are orgasmic are typically capable of having multiple orgasms. This is really a result of the fact that among many, indeed most animal species, the female would be inclined, in fact, to mate with more than one male. Women evolutionarily establishing a situation, making it somewhat difficult so that the sperm have to compete with each other so that only the best man wins, if you will. That when we behave as a monogamous species, we are actually running counter. We are swimming upstream against the forces of evolution. Let me be clear, that does not mean that monogamy is a bad thing. Okay? I mean, there are many things that human beings do that are unnatural, but I think most of us would agree are really good, and that take a lot of work.
그렇다면 현대 인류에서도 일부일처를 따르지 않는 예가 있을까요?
Some of them are going to be still promiscuous, where both males and females will mate, and that's an accepted.
Do you have any evidence supporting your idea?
If you look at the canela of northeastern Brazil, or you look at the ack of Paraguay, or the bari of Venezuela, there's tons of ethnography showing that even up until as late as 1970, they were a promiscuous society where the females and the males both mated outside the pair bond.
What are the major factors determine between the monogamy and the promiscuous?
It is adult mortality risk. Let's say you have a good chance of dying before your children reach reproductive age. So what would the male do in the particular? What is his option? He'll also mate with others on the chance that he will have paternity with some of her children. And should he die, or his social spouse dies, he will have children that are being taken care of by someone else. So he's buying life insurance by mating promiscuously, but he's also giving up paternity certainty. Now, what about the female? Why would she do it? So she mates promiscuously, and in order so that if her social spouse dies, she has the call on multiple males to get resources for those children because they might be the father of her children.
Do you think that both male and female have a promiscuous tendency equally?
Absolutely, they do. You had the Na in China with the walking marriage, and it was the same thing. You had the longhouses, the men came in for different mating opportunities. The females mated with multiple men.
我今年27岁，我叫淡石马。中秋节快到了，我打算去看母亲。摩梭人是母系社会，母亲决定家里的大小事。她是我家的家长，她继承了祖母的角色。摩梭人房子的中央是母亲的房间，也就是家长的房间。2楼有大窗的房间是像我这种已经成年的女生用的。以前每到晚上，摩梭女人会让喜欢的男朋友通过这个窗口进到自己的房间里。摩梭人只有自由恋爱，没有男女成家的结婚制度。我们摩梭人没有结婚这个概念。不过我们有走婚习俗。走婚是指来来去去的意思。爱就像季节一样来来去去，所以摩梭人认为把男女强加在一起是错误的。女人想要多少男朋友都可以拥有。女人年轻时有很多男朋友。不过呢，到了中年以后，男朋友也会逐渐减少。男女晚上相遇，早上分开，经济上也没什么分享的。要不要分开也是个人的自由，没人会干预。 虽然走婚文化被动摇了，但在摩梭人的语言中仍然没有指老公或老婆的词汇。
日吃机会都有，我都是他这都是。
作为少数民族摩梭人，逐渐成为中国社会的一部分。最近走婚文化也逐渐消失了，大部分会选择结婚，估计我也会选择结婚的。
수십만 년 동안 인류의 삶은 고정불변한 것이 아니었습니다. 아마 앞으로도 그렇겠죠?
Then what happens in the mating patterns?
In fact, we're adapted to either or, depending on context, depending on adult mortality risk. The interesting part about the canella and the bari, when modern medicine came into these societies in the 1960s and 70s, and they were inoculated against TB and dysentery, the extra pair matings went down when adult mortality risk went down. So they flipped to monogamy. So it's up to us. No other non-human animal has that adaptability, and it's only in an animal that can manage that conflict of interest problem that you can flip between those two systems.